given these scenarios, given these forces that are competing for our attention as leaders, how are we going to get to a vision that is net positive? What is net positive? We struggled articulating sustainability at the beginning. We've had many of you speaking so brilliantly to the need for regeneration, the business case for regeneration. Net positive is kind of like a bridging stepping stone towards a regenerative status, because this is systems change, as Glenn was saying, and we can't just jump from one directly to the other because of the complexities of the value chain, of all of those SMEs feeding in to the destination at the end game. And so this is the journey that we need to embark on together with all of these questions, these dialogues. So that is why we're so excited to be beginning this series of solution labs to continue those dialogues. But now we want to look at this net positive beyond sustainability. And so the next 20, 25 minutes or so, we're going to explore this together on our tables. Jake, I don't know if you want to hop onto the table ahead or join Martin, just so there's someone else to have a little discussion with. I would like to share between you, actually. Let's come to your tables, and let's first of all look at how do we describe sustainable hospitality or tourism? How do we describe net positive hospitality or tourism? And how do we describe regenerative hospitality and tourism? Thankfully, there is finally a much greater curiosity from all industries about going beyond sustainability. And people are starting to talk about net positive and regenerative. But usually, and on the streets of the World Economic Forum in Davos this January, I had so many people saying, oh yeah, we're doing regenerative, this, that, and the other. And I ask, okay, what does that look like for you? And they don't have that articulation. And so we really, really need to, as leaders, be very clear on this pathway and on that end game. And we can have a pathway net positive that is regenerative by design, and that is why this is about us. And Jake, thanks for your comments also on we need to lead for adaptive, responsive systems thinking as leaders. We need to find that resilience no matter what those global shocks throw at us. And we can get there using a framework of regenerative economics, and that's going to be the final session today before we hear from Martin. So these three questions are really important, and if you ever have someone sharing with you, I had a conversation this morning with a gentleman, oh yeah, we do sustainability and regeneration. Then I think the important thing is for us all to dialogue and learn from one another and deploy that curiosity and that humility. And the no judgment of what someone else perceives to be sustainable versus something beyond. So I encourage you to ask people to be able to articulate when you're having this conversation, what does that look like for you to be a sustainable destination or a sustainable brand? Because unless we force those dialogues, we can't really be forced to think deeply. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to do some card play. And on your tables, you'll see some cards with some pretty pictures on them. And each of you have got different sets of cards on different tables. They look like this. And we're going to use these cards just to think about what are those differentiators between sustainability or the business case of where we're at today towards greater resilience, health, and vitality. So how do we articulate that bridge? So on your table, you'll have one or two different sector scenarios. And so there might be a financial system, there might be a transport system, there might be an office space, fashion. There's also hospitality cards for someone. And you have three different scenarios on the back of three same sector cards. And I would like on your table for you to pick up those three cards. You might use two and go into twos. And discuss together which of the version is the sustainable version of that activity, which is the net positive version, and which is the regenerative version, and why. And to support you in that thinking, perhaps the first thing to look at on your tables, just to remind ourselves, is this piece here. And this is, again, an attempt at articulating the difference between these three different statuses. And effectively, sustainability asks, how can we do less harm? Which is exactly what someone gave us their response right at the beginning of the session. Net positive asks, how can we give back more than we take? And regenerative asks, how can we co-create thriving living systems that inherently embed the principles of vitality, resilience, abundance, innovation, adaptiveness, responsiveness? And so, when everyone's had a look at that card, have a look at your scenario cards from different sectors, whichever ones you find, and just have a discussion. And then we're going to invite a couple of you just to share which is sustainable, net positive, regenerative, and why. Thank you. I feel like maybe some music or something. Do we have some music? Jazz?